Did you ever travel outside the United States when you were in the Air Force?
Yeah.
Where did you go?
We went to Korea and then Japan.
Okay, so you went to Korea. When did you arrive in Korea? Was it 1953 or 1954?
It was 54. That's part of 54.
And where did you arrive in Korea?
Seoul.
You were in Seoul. So the war, when you arrived in the latter part of 54. The war ends in the middle of 1953. What did Seoul look like when you arrived?
You wanted to watch yourself. Okay. You didn't go by yourself.
You felt it was dangerous.
Yeah.
Was that because the people were in a desperate situation?
There was still war going on.
They were still fighting.
If you were an American, they would shoot at you.
Really? And who do you mean by they? Would these be South Koreans, or do you think they were maybe North Koreans still there?
Oh yeah, the North Koreans were still there.
Really? So
the 38th parallel hadn't been put into effect.
Oh. So it's there on paper, but you're saying the DMZ as we know it today is not yet in place. Wow.
That's right.
Yeah. Much of the city was destroyed?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So did you go, your base was close to Seoul, or was it right in Seoul?
I went into Seoul.
You went into Seoul. So when you would go into would you ever go into Seoul by yourself, or would you always have a friend?
No. There was at least 4 or 5 of us.
Right. And was that the rule, that you had to have friends if you went into Seoul?
Oh yeah. You had to have people to go with you.
Yeah. How long were you in Korea?
About 6 months.
Did it get a little bit better over time?
I didn't notice it.
You didn't notice that? No. Have you ever been back to Korea?
No.
Do you know what Seoul is like today?
When we were there, you couldn't put enough clothes on to keep warm.
Oh, it's so cold, huh? Yeah. Oh, so you were there during the winter. When you hear about these soldiers and Marines up in northern North Korea in the winter of 1950, the Chosin Reservoir, 40 below. I don't know if it got that cold in Seoul.
Oh yeah.
Did it? So you have a little bit of an idea of what that might be like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you were flying an airplane,
yeah,
your heater wouldn't keep you warm because it'd be 70 below.
Wow. Wow. So how did you stay warm?
Just a 5-gallon drum and all the clothes we could find.
55-gallon drum of something burning?
Yeah.
With fire? What did you have inside the drum?
What did we have?
What did you have inside the 55-gallon drum to burn?
Anything we could find.
Wow. Yeah.
There was no wood other than pallets, and everybody else was fighting over them.
Yeah. Did you have any interactions with Korean people when you were there? Like in the marketplace or on
the market? No.
No.
There was some that were housekeepers in the barracks, and most of the time I never trusted them because you didn't know if they were North Koreans or South Korean.
Really? So at that time there was
you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell them apart.
Yeah, and at that time, then in 1954, there's still a concern about South Korean infiltrators then being in the South and causing trouble. Wow. So did you go to the area that is now the DMZ? Did you ever visit that area?
Did I go to that area?
Yeah.
My base was right close to it.
Oh, okay. So now, of course, you know, you've got, it's a well-established zones separating North and South. What did it look like at the time? What did the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea look like in 1954?
You couldn't tell.
Really? Just a lot of guards on both sides? Or?
They were putting up barbed wire fences, roll barbed wire. They were putting that up. Americans and North Koreans. There was a double space between the two of them. In other words, you had the 38th parallel. The Americans had their line, North Koreans had their line. And here's the middle.
Yeah.
And you could be caught in the middle and they could say, you escaped from us.
Mm.
You were in the middle zone.
Yeah, yeah. And so when you were there on the DMZ and you're looking north, you saw North Korean soldiers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Would they ever make any signs or gestures at you, or did the Americans ever make signs or gestures at them?
You didn't want to because that would cause a war. And you would be taken off that duty.
Really?
Because you're trying to create a problem with the North Koreans.
Yeah, wow. Was it tense?
Pardon?
Was it tense? Was it a tense environment?
Oh yeah.
Very tense, huh? Yeah. So tell me about your work in Korea. How did you spend your 6 months?
I stayed pretty much in my barracks and worked on the aircraft. A lot of them got shot up and had to repair the electrical part.
A lot of the planes you were working on in 1954 got shot up?
Oh yeah.
Really? So from ground fire, I'm assuming.
Ground fire and air fire.
Huh. And so this is even after the armistice?
Yeah.
Really? Wow. What kind of damage did you see on the planes?
There was always wing damage, which is fuel. Center damage, engine,
Wow.
electrical.
Yeah.
If they went down on the North Korean side, somebody had to go get the papers and possibly the soldier on the North Korean side.
To try to rescue him? Did that happen?
Yep.
Yeah. So American flyers went down north of the DMZ and they had to be rescued. Can you remember that? Wow. Did you have to train with weapons yourself? In case...
I was already trained with them.
Yeah. And did you practice with weapons while you were there?
Didn't have to. You
Well,
always carried it. And you knew how to use it.
yeah. Wow.
And you didn't hesitate.
Have you been back to Korea since 1954?
No. Didn't want to. Didn't need to. Not going to.
No. When you were there in 1954 and you're looking at Seoul, if somebody told you by the year 2020, 2021, the early 21st century, South Korea is going to be the 11th strongest economy in the world, would you have believed it? If somebody told you that
I
in
wouldn't have believed it,
1954? No. Why not?
I couldn't feature it. I couldn't see it at that time.
Because it was so poor.
It was poor